Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the fourth ever Ritz podcast. Joining me is David, Ayush, Oscar, Nathaniel, and Nishan. Today's gonna be pretty much the playoffs first round preview type of thing where we predict the first round of each play, the outcomes of each first round matchup. So, starting with the West, we're gonna go with the first seed Lakers and the eighth seed Blazers or the Grizzlies. And either way, I'm going to take Lakers in four. I just think that neither of them have enough firepower to keep up with LeBron and AD. And
I
AD
don't
and
think
LeBron
so.
are just
I
I
gonna
think I
AD and
think that
LeBron are just gonna feast on them.
if the Grizzlies somehow make it, which I doubt will happen, then it'll be a sweep, I think.
yeah.
But if the Trailblazers they're on fire and the Lakers are cold, Damian Lillard is not a top 5 player, but he's playing out of his mind. I think they could take them to 5 or 6.
I feel like you can never doubt LeBron. Even though LeBron is cold right now, he's
I
still
mean,
probably
I
gonna come
understand
through in the
Damian
playoffs.
Lillard. I mean, of course, I'm not doubting LeBron, but and then again, Damian Lillard has a history of getting swept. Last year, he got swept by the Warriors. I think in 2018, he got swept by Anthony Davis, who's back on the Lakers. But I still don't think they're going to get swept.
Yeah.
He's got
Okay.
too many options around him.
I agree that the Lakers are have a really good chance of winning their first round, but if it's against Portland, I don't see Damian Lillard giving up at least one game to the Lakers.
Who's
The
who's
Lakers,
talking
the
who's talking
Lakers are
LeBron
ice
or
cold. The
AD?
Blazers are red hot. And if the Blazers weren't injured all season, they would have been a top 5 seed for sure. I
Wait,
think they're
can
gonna
I
take
get
a
my
game,
input?
a
Can I
game
get
or
my
two.
input though? Wait, yeah. So if you look at the Blazers games though, Damian Lillard has to drop 50, and they're still only winning by 2 or 3 or whatever. I feel like they might be able to win one game, but that's the most they can win against.
Exactly, that's one game if Damian Lillard drops 50 on the Lakers' head. But I don't think that's going to happen multiple times.
Did anybody watch the Nets versus Blazers game
Yeah.
yesterday?
Yeah.
If you watch that game, you could see Karis LeVert was literally feasting on their head. Like he was
Yeah.
going off, and that was literally Karis LeVert. They have no answer for him. He would
Who's
just
gonna
go
guard
by them
LeBron?
every single time.
And plus,
I mean,
Yusuf Nurkic, at the end of the game, they were just so gassed. And plus, on top of that, CJ McCollum is playing with a back fracture, so you never know what you're gonna get from him.
That's true. I think first, what David said with the Lakers are cold. They do have a whole week break. The Lakers' first game will be on August. Oh wait, shoot, it's not a week.
no, if you look at the Lakers' schedule though,
But it's
except for
like-
that one game against the Clippers, I'd say and that one win against the Jazz, they underperformed every single game. They only I think had 1 or 2 wins, and that was against the Nuggets reserves. And
but
other than that, they all had blowout losses. So they're
Do you
super
honestly
cold.
think LeBron is gonna keep up with the same performance in the playoffs?
No, of course
There's
not.
no way. Yeah.
I'm not. There's no way he gets upset. If he gets upset in the first, there's simply no way.
It's
The
gonna be
greatest playoff performer gets
Lakers
upset.
in 5 against the Blazers and 4 against the Grizzlies.
Yeah, 4 against the
Yeah.
Grizzlies.
Yeah,
They could
I-
take
alright.
it this week.
Did
Let's move on. Let's
Wait.
move on to our next series. I
Wait,
think
wait,
it's the
wait,
Clippers.
does anybody else have anything to add to this series?
Wait, did Damian Lillard ever
Uh,
get guarded by someone like Danny Green in any of those 8 games? Or
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure
you have some.
Danny Green isn't.
No, Damian Lillard, he got the Harden treatment. He got double teamed so much.
oh
But
yeah.
I have one thing to say though. If you look at the Blazers, point guard through small forward, it's Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and Carmelo Anthony. All 3 of them are one of 3 of the worst defenders in the whole
Yeah,
league.
they have no wing defenders at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a
So-
big problem for the Blazers.
So who's gonna guard LeBron? That's my only question. 'Cause
Imagine
Jack-
if they still had Trevor Ariza.
Yeah.
Are we ready to move on, or anything else that anybody else wants to say? No.
No, I
We're
think
good?
we're ready to go.
All right. So the next matchup we're gonna talk about is the Rockets versus Thunder.
No.
4-5
We'll
matchup.
talk about the Clippers. We'll talk about the Clippers versus Mavericks.
Oh.
We'll go 2-7, and 3-6, 4-5.
And do Houston OKC first.
Yeah, let's just do that.
All right, sure.
Okay, so I'm taking Houston in 7. I think mostly because Westbrook is injured and most of the offense revolves around, everybody get out of the way and let Westbrook ISO. And same thing with Harden, but I feel like Westbrook can get to the rim, and he's good in mid range, and he's out for like the first few games. Is that what the Rockets said? First few
At
games.
least 2 games.
Yeah. So I think that's the main reason it'll go to 7. And the Rockets have been playing pretty bad without Westbrook so far. In the few games they haven't had him, they've lost each game. So
I'd say in 6, not in 7, because I think like the first. I'm going under the assumption he misses only 2 games, but I'd say they go 1-1 in those 2 games, and then the Rockets should be able to win 3 or 4 straight after that once they get him back. The Thunder are a good team, but the Rockets are just more talented than they are. They might even be more well-rounded, but you need star power, and the Rockets have that, and the Thunder simply don't.
For this series, I have OKC in 7. First of all, they don't have Westbrook, and their entire offense revolved around him. And even when they did have Westbrook and Harden, the OKC still beat them in the regular season 2-1. And the one game they lost, they didn't really. They weren't playing their starters that game. So I'm having OKC here.
But the regular season games don't mean everything, but sure.
Those games
Yeah,
are
they don't, but
My
It's
prediction
your opinion.
depends
It's your
entirely
opinion.
on how
Right.
long
It
Westbrook is out.
yeah, it depends on how long he's out. If he's out 2-3 games, then I have OKC in 7.
Yeah, if he's out like 3 games, I have to agree with David, honestly, because their entire system is literally based off of Russell Westbrook.
or he's key. Also,
even if he goes out 2 to 3 games, I'm still gonna take the Rockets in 7. I just don't want to believe that they're gonna lose to the Thunder. The Thunder literally had 0 chance, and even now, if you look at their roster, up and down their roster, they don't have any real firepower other than Shy and Chris Paul. So
No, that's not even real firepower. They're just
Yeah.
they're just built well. They're just like a well-built team, like
They have good
the
coaching,
Bucks
too.
minus Giannis. There's just like a bunch of good players put together well. No
Wait,
one like with eye-popping talent.
But so the Thunder are really perimeter oriented, and like the Rockets are gonna start James Harden, Ben McLemore, Robert Covington, PJ Tucker, and Daniel House, right? Like I feel like the Rockets are gonna be able to guard the perimeter really well. So unless Steven Adams is able to go have good games, I feel like
Steven
the Rockets
Adams
play good
could be one of their nightmares because the Rockets struggle with rebounding, and Steven Adams is like one of, if not the best rebounder in the league. He's definitely the best offensive rebounder. Maybe the best rebounder in general.
Plus, without Westbrook, everything has to go through Harden, and like we've seen in these seeding games, they haven't really been shooting great. So when that happens, I can't see them winning.
Yeah, I'd say Westbrook is like the Steph Curry or Draymond Green of that Warriors team, where he might not even be the best player, but he's the heart of that team. Like with the small ball lineup, it's the whole small ball thing is meant for him, so he could play bigger than he is and stuff.
And we know Westbrook and Harden are known to ice up during the playoffs, so
I think
play a
that,
factor.
I think that what you said at the beginning about it'll go 1-1 if Westbrook misses 2 games. If Westbrook misses 3, then I have Thunder in 7. If he just misses 2, then probably Rockets in 7. I highly doubt the Rockets could win 4 straight, or 3 straight. With
Even when he comes back.
Westbrook. But
I don't see this series not going to 7.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see it
I
not
think
going to
either
7.
way, even if he sits out 2 or 3 games, I'm still taking the Rockets. As I said before, I don't think that the Thunder have enough star power to keep up with the Rockets. And the Rockets play very fast paced, and it's been pretty hard for other teams to step up to the Rockets and how they play, having corner shooters and pretty much shooters open at all times. Or if you're gonna guard the perimeter, then you have a wide open lane. So I think that the Rockets are gonna take this one, no matter what.
I think Rockets in 6. That's my prediction. If Westbrook comes back after 2 games, because I feel
Are we done talking about the
tempo.
series?
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything to add?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right, let's move on to the next series, which should be the Los Angeles Clippers versus Dallas Mavericks. It's 2 seed versus 7 seed. I think while they've got one of the brightest stars in the NBA, the Mavericks don't have the playoff experience or the talent required to take on the Clippers, who might be the championship favorite.
I'm gonna take the Clippers in 5. I think Luka can pull off a game. Luka and Porzingis, in a few games they've been showing off that they can play together very well. Like for example, that Rockets game, they were going off with you know,
They had
Porzingis
like
was
60
going off,
points.
Luka was going off. They still lost, but that's mainly because of Harden having almost 50, right? Like 49 points.
That was a bad defensive game,
Yeah.
so
The
their
problem with
stats
the
were good.
Mavericks is that like their offense is so good, but at the same time their defense is so bad.
Yeah, their defense is very bad.
And that really
Who's
hurts
gonna-
against the Clippers, who can clamp up. Like they've got so many good defenders.
Yeah.
That like especially on someone like Luka, they can just clamp up on him all the time. And Kristaps Porzingis, I just haven't seen him. He's 7'3", and even against normal 7-footers, like even it's like PJ Tucker, I haven't seen him go off or do insane things. So I think with a team that has the defensive capabilities as the Clippers, it'll be pretty rough for them. Even though Luka is probably the statistical best player in that series.
Kawhi is probably statistically better. I think, or I don't know if you take into
No.
account Luka's assist, but yeah, I think Clippers in 5. In the regular season games, the Clippers won all of them. Kawhi scored like 36, 28, and 29 or something. I think Kawhi is gonna average like 30, well, unless he doesn't try as much, 30 points this series. Probably an easy win for the Clippers. I don't think Porzingis will impact. I think he'll because he doesn't even post up that much, which is probably not that great
Bad move.
coach's decision. But I don't know.
I
I
think
also-
Kawhi Leonard, you know exactly what you're gonna get. He's probably the most consistent player in the NBA because you know every single game he's gonna get you around 25 to 35. Maybe one game he'll give you 40, maybe one game he'll give you 20, but every game it's around 25 to 35.
Do you think Kawhi will guard Luka or?
Kawhi will definitely guard Luke.
Paul
Yeah.
George. I think Paul George.
Yeah.
will.
It
Well, I
really
think-
doesn't matter.
I think
Yeah,
honestly,
There's no
I think-
reason
got-
to not have Kawhi
I
guarding.
think the Clippers have enough have enough defensive firepower that they can even put Pat Beverly on him and save
Yeah,
their. And
I'd
save
honestly put
Kawhi and
Patrick Beverly on
Paul
him.
Yeah, because I feel like
In the
Paul
beginning of the
George- I mean,
series-
Patrick Beverly can guard Luka, and then Kawhi can guard like, what's his name, Porzingis, and then
I'd put actually Kawhi guarding Porzingis is a good idea, but I'd put Patrick Beverly on him at least for the first 2 games as an experiment because he's a young guy who's never been to the playoffs, and Patrick Beverly like he like tried to mess up Lonzo Ball and stuff like that. I think he'd be like the perfect guy to like get inside Luka's head or something. Kawhi and all these guys like they don't like mess with you mentally the way Patrick Beverly does. And if you're a young player, he can like get inside your head. Like he won't get inside Harden's head or anything because they've done too much in their career, been to the playoffs, all that. But Luka maybe not.
You know the Clippers also-
Between the Mavericks and experience and the Clippers getting Montrezl Harrell back for Game 1, I'm gonna have the Clippers in 4. I don't
Same.
think the
I have
Mavericks are gonna
sweep.
take a single.
I have
game.
Clippers in
Yeah.
4. Clippers in 4.
Clippers
I
in
wouldn't
4.
say sweep. I'd say 5.
Actually, I'll change mine to Clippers in 4. Like the Mavericks didn't win a game the regular season against the Clippers.
I don't know, but it's always like risky to pick the sweep, right? Because last
Yeah.
season you wouldn't have predicted the Magic take game 1 away from the Raptors in the first round.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I feel it's one game could just go wrong, especially with a guy like who can post up insane numbers like
And
Luka,
especially
who
with
could
the
drop like
Mavericks
40.
offense, like you have to realize like someone's just gonna go off. Like I don't know, Tim Hardaway Jr.
No, I'm saying even if Luka goes off for one game, he drops like a 40-point triple-double, which he's capable of doing. He did it for like the last 3 games of the bubble or something like that, like a 3-game stretch. So I think saying in 4 is pretty risky. I'd say 5.
I'm still gonna put 4.
I'll put 4. I don't think Luka will be able to like put 40 points, even with Patrick Beverly or like Paul. I think the most uncertainty-ish thing would be like Paul George, but even then, he seems to be doing fine in the bubble. I think
He's
I
like
think
always
he'll be
injured.
4.
Paul George is like
Yeah,
always
but he's
injured. That's his one problem.
last 2 playoffs he hasn't really been that good at all.
He wasn't on the.
That first game against the Lakers, Paul George, like I thought he was like back. All those threes he was hitting, he was playing good defense, and I thought he was like completely back.
I'm still gonna take.
I mean they've all been resting and stuff. You know, they've been really
Still
been.
gonna take
Yeah.
Clippers in 5 because I feel like like the Mavericks with Luka, with Porzingis, with Tim Hardaway, and with other playoff series like what's it called, the Bucks Magic that we're gonna get to. I feel like the only way that the Magic will have a chance to like, win a game is if everything goes wrong for the Bucks and everything goes right for the Magic. But in this series, I think that there's more flexibility in how the Mavericks can win. So I think the Mavericks are gonna take one game.
All right, let's move on to the next series.
Yeah.
It's Jazz versus Nuggets. I
Three seed,
think the
six seed.
I think the Nuggets passing is insane. From what I saw in a few few of their games I watched, I feel like they're gonna win 5 against the Jazz because uh, just the amount of passing and offensive talent they have across the board is insane. And Nikola Jokic has proven to me that he's a top 2 center in the league at least. So,
I'd say that's a good idea, but like in terms of defense, they've got a great defensive center. Although I don't think he's the best defensive center. Obviously, Anthony Davis is the best, but you might not think it's obvious, but I do. I think the Jazz starting 5 is also pretty. I don't know if Bogdanovich is out or something, but that starting 5 looks pretty well rounded. So, but I don't think it's still good enough to overcome the deficit of talent they have. So I'd probably still say Nuggets in 6, but it's closer than pretty close still.
yeah,
I'd
but
say Nuggets
Bogdanovich,
in 6.
Yeah,
but Bogdanovich is a 20-point scorer, and he's out. So
he's clutch.
Yes.
Also, he's super clutch.
yeah, so like
Yeah,
they're
he's not
like
playing.
their main scorer is like Donovan Mitchell, unless like their like other players step up and like score 20 a game. I don't know. I feel like they don't have enough firepower to match up against.
Yeah,
the
like
Nuggets.
their supporting cast hasn't really been doing like or playing well enough to say win 2 games against the Nuggets.
Wait,
feel like-
didn't the Jazz push them to like double overtime? And like all the games in the regular
Yeah.
season were close. Like, one of them was a 3-point win by the Nuggets. The other was a 6-point win by the Nuggets. Then the double overtime was a 2-point win by the Nuggets. Like, I think these
I mean,
are really
regular season doesn't really matter that
but
much.
that's before they lost the 20-point per game score in Bogdanovich.
not the double.
On
overtime.
that double overtime was the first game Jamal Murray was back, and he still like went off.
Oh, you're talking. Okay, yeah, sorry about that one.
I think Nuggets in 6, and the games will be close.
I'm gonna
In the
I'm gonna
Jazz
take-
Nuggets game, there was no Will Barton or Gary Harris. I just
I-
want to
I
mention
I
that.
couldn't
gonna
see
take
the
Nuggets and,
Jazz winning
I-
more than one game.
I'm gonna take Nuggets in 5 because I feel like it's gonna be mainly dependent on Jamal Murray. And this is talking about this series as well as the big picture for the Nuggets. Because Jokic is very consistent. He's gonna carry them as far as he can. But I think Jamal Murray being back from an injury, I feel like he's pretty unpredictable. And in future playoff series,
You mean he's their X factor?
Yeah. In future playoff series, like against the Clippers, I feel like he's going to be the deciding factor whether they're successful or not.
All right. Have we all given our
Barton,
opinion?
Harris, and Grant are all gonna come back, so I'm gonna have the Nuggets in 5 here.
5. All right.
Yeah, 5.
Gary
let's
Harris
move
is
on.
really capable defender.
Jeremy
so-
Grant, has he been injured? Like, cause he's been
He
playing
was
in the
injured
bubble.
for like the last 1 or 2 games.
They still have
Oh.
Bobo and Mace and Plumlee, so like
And Michael Porter Jr. has been going off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Also-
Bobo's not gonna get that many minutes.
Also,
Right.
Donovan Mitchell has been he's starting to get a reputation for playing bad in the playoffs.
No, man. 2018.
Not really.
2018.
It's just his team.
He was
last
insane.
Last year he shot 32.1% overall and 25.6% from 3. To add to that, his team isn't the best. So I'm still
I
still on
think
the
though.
edge of whether the Jazz can do good and win a game.
I mean, I'm still a firm believer in Donovan Mitchell. Like he took out the veteran Thunder team as a rookie in 2018. I saw him live go toe to toe with Chris Paul against I think Game 5 against the Rockets. And if he didn't get injured, I think it'd be really close. The Jazz might have won that game in Houston.
He's also had
So I
like
still believe
some
in him.
amazing moments in the bubble.
Yeah, he's been playing really good recently.
Wait, Ayush, what's your prediction for the series?
Nuggets in 6.
Okay.
If that's all, I think we should move on to the Eastern Conference now. So the first series we'll talk about is the pretty lopsided series of Bucks versus Nets, I think. Wait, is it Nets?
No,
Yeah.
Bucks
Magic,
versus Magic.
Magic.
I'm
My
taking
bad.
Milwaukee in 4. This is not even a question to me.
This is there's no point
Yeah.
discussing this.
Yeah, Milwaukee
I
in
think
4.
everyone-
Orlando's not
Milwaukee
the
in
team
4.
it was last year. Even
Well-
they've regressed hard.
Even if they were the team they were
Even
last
for
season.
Orlando standards, they regressed.
Yeah.
Bucks
I one
and-
thing to say though, like I feel like any of our predictions could go wrong in an instant if a player like Kawhi or Giannis gets injured. Like our whole
Yeah, but
prediction
but
could just
we
go
can't
wrong.
we can't count on that happening. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's from what we can see right now. No one's gonna get injured, so like we can't predict an injury in the future. So I think let's just move on to the next series.
Bucks and
It's
Falcons.
Raptors Nets, which I think is the same. No, no, it wasn't the same series last season. So what are your thoughts on Raptors Nets? I'd probably say Raptors in 4 or 5. I think maybe like
I'm
Carousel
taking
or one of these
Raptors.
guys.
I'm taking Raptors in 6. I feel like
No.
No, I'm taking Raptors in
Six,
4.
no.
No.
Four.
I feel like
Four.
they're a dark horse team. If you watched them perform yesterday, which is
Who, the
pretty
Nets?
much one of my only references on how good they've
Who, the
been playing.
Nets?
Yeah, the Nets.
That's
Chris
one
Levert went
game.
on.
Look, the Nets.
The Nets
the
are
Nets did
terrible.
do good, but let's not act as if the Trailblazers are like some contender. They're contending to make the 8th seed. They're not a good team. Well, they're better than the 8th seed, but they're not an amazing team. And doing good against them, no. Did you seriously just say that the Nets without Durant and Kyrie are dark horse contenders?
And no like
Spencer
a
Dinwiddie.
lot of the other players. Yeah.
The Nets have no chance in this series. They're going down in 4 games.
I'd say
I think-
5, but yeah,
I think Nets
still,
in
And
yeah, I
one
think
or
Raptors
two of
in
them are
five.
going to be blowouts.
I think Raptors in 5 just because
definitely.
it might be like game 4 and they're 3-0.
And
They just
Well,
like
Karis
lose.
LeVert goes off or something.
Yeah.
I think that the Nets can win 2 games. Like, what is it? These games are pretty close. Like one of them, like, okay, the Nets actually won by a game in the regular season, and they also like only lost by 1 point. So, I think that the Nets can take 2 games. It depends how good.
No.
I'd say like there's like a 60% chance of them taking 1 game, maybe like a 10-20% chance of them getting swept, and then maybe a 10-20% chance of them taking 2 games, but
The more
almost
likely
certainly.
thing is Raptors in 4 though, but yeah.
I think there's a
Yeah.
higher chance with them Raptors in 4 than Raptors in 6. In my opinion.
I
Yeah.
feel like you guys are sleeping on Levert.
No one's they're garbage. No one's sleeping on them. They're
The
trash.
Raptors defense is like so good though. There's no way
I feel
Levert's
like-
gonna
I feel like,
do what he does.
you know, Van
Raptors
Vliet,
also really efficient.
Lowry, Siakam. I don't think they're gonna be. They're not. I don't feel like they're gonna keep up the same
Right.
performance they did in the bubble in the seeding
Why
game.
not?
In like
Why not?
maybe 1 or 2 of these games.
They were doing
You
it
know,
last year in the playoffs.
Van Vliet has been playing like out of this world in the bubble. I don't feel like he's gonna. You know,
He's been doing that the entire season
I
though.
don't feel like he's
Yeah.
gonna be able to keep that up in the playoffs in this playoff series.
So what's your prediction?
I'm still saying Raptors in 6.
Dude,
Oh, okay.
that's crazy.
All right. Let's.
I
I
don't
think
know
then
how
we should
you
just
got
move on to Heat Pacers, which is probably the most even match series in the whole, like, other than Russell Westbrook's injury, probably the most well matched series and maybe the most interesting series to watch. All that beef between TJ Warren and Butler. I'd still say probably Heat in 6.
I'm taking
Same.
Miami in 5.
I have Miami in 5.
Miami
Five?
in 6. Miami
I
in
feel like
6.
even if TJ Warren has like a bunch of on games where he's like scoring 40, I still think that the Heat outmatch the Pacers in like pretty much.
I think
every single
Victor
way.
Too
Oladipo
many
is gonna be an
positions,
X
yeah.
factor in this series.
Yeah, Oladipo has been playing pretty bad, but if he can step it up
Yeah.
in the
He's been playing
This
bad,
series-
but when you have a guy who like once was really bad and like who once was like pretty good, almost really good, he still can like show flashes of his former self or something. And it's not like he's old and he doesn't have the ability to. He's injured, so every once in a while he still have like his good IQ and his good ideas for like when to defend here and there. I think he'd still
I feel like if
be like 70% of what he
if
was.
Oladipo turns it on and finds his rhythm, I think that the Pacers have a chance to take it to 6 or maybe 7. But if that doesn't happen, I'm still taking Miami in 5. But I think
I can't
any
see
series-
I can't see Oladipo doing anything this year. I don't think he's gonna be that good. I think he's
Yeah.
gonna play just like he was
You
in the
know-
bubble.
I feel
Yeah,
like
my-
TJ Warren is gonna have a good game, one game, score like 40, 45, and the Pacers are gonna steal a game. than
And
that-
TJ
Other
TJ
than
Warren,
that,
I don't
the-
think either will be that good.
Yeah,
Bro,
the
wait,
Heat,
I
the
have
Heat
one thing
are
to
gonna
say.
take this one.
Yeah, I have one thing to say. You guys are sleeping on Malcolm Brogdon a little bit. He's averaged like 17 or 18 in like 8 this season, and like I feel like he's a really good defender. He's really efficient from the field. He's gonna be an X factor. Like I think this series, if Sabonis was there, I would have felt like confident maybe in like taking the series deeper. But I think I still have Heat in 6 just because they have like
Yeah.
a lot of good shooters, and
Yeah.
Their star power.
I just want to say, for not just this playoff series, but any playoff series that we say goes to 7, I'd say they all have like a. If the game's going to 7, I think even the team that we think is not going to win still does have a pretty good chance to win, because if it's it's a game 7, anyone could walk out with a win. And
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what I
let's
was.
move on to our final series
right.
in the Eastern Conference. It's I'm forgetting the other team. It's 76ers versus who is
Celtics.
it?
Boston.
Celtics.
76ers versus Celtics. I'm gonna take Boston in 5.
And
Does
what?
anybody have the
I-
76ers?
In 5 and 5. Boston in 5.
In
I'd-
5? But how do you have Raptors in 6 and then Boston in 5?
Dude, who is the Sixers have Embiid out, right?
No, they don't.
No, he's in. He's
He's
in.
in.
Oh wait, what about one of them got injured, right?
Simmons.
Simmons got injured.
If they had
Yeah, I
Ben
don't think-
Simmons,
I think
I believe in Ben Simmons, and if they had him, I'd probably say Sixers in 7. But without him, I'd probably say Celtics in 6, because they've got a really well balanced team and with some stars and stuff. And I don't think Joel Embiid is a playoff
yeah,
monster or anything like
I
that.
don't think Embiid is gonna perform very well.
Yeah, but who
He's
do
not
the
on the
Sixers
same level
have
as-
to guard Embiid?
Daniel Tice.
You can make that
Daniel
argument.
Tice
So
is like
many.
so undersized.
Wait, do
He's
they
still a
have?
good defender, man.
It doesn't matter. Like I don't think he
Uh,
can't really carry
That's not-
his team. We haven't really seen
Yeah,
him,
but
carry his team. Go
look
for
at the
40,
Raptors
like,
last season.
That's not really how
Look at the Raptors
basketball
last
works.
season.
You can't really just say
Yeah.
okay,
It's
who
a
do they
team
have
thing.
to guard Anthony Davis? No one. So Anthony Davis is just
Yeah,
the
that's
Lakers are
not,
going to
that's
win the
not how it
finals.
works. But
You can't really
I don't think historically we've seen Embiid go
Joel
off.
Embiid perform.
The
In
Sixers?
2018, we saw the same Celtics team without Kyrie Irving. I mean, they were a great team. They took LeBron to 7, but they just destroyed the Sixers team that had insane
They had
hopes. They're like
Horford.
up
They had
3-0.
Horford though.
I feel like in this series the X
Now they
factor
have
is gonna
Hayward
be
and
Embiid.
Yeah.
No, Hayward was injured that season.
Embiid.
It was
I mean,
Horford.
This can be a
Yeah,
proven
they had
series
Horford.
for
Horford
Embiid.
was that.
See if he can perform in the playoffs and sort of start to get a reputation of being a playoff performer. But if he plays as he's been playing this whole season, I think that the Celtics are going to take this one easily.
I think Celtics in 5, just because Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, Kemba Walker, they're all gonna average like at least 15, I'd say, which means like the amount of star power they have is just too much for the Sixers to like overcome, and I think they're just gonna win with 5. So
I have
I-
Sixers and wait, did I hear no?
No. Keep
You have
going, keep
Sixers?
going.
I mean not Sixers, Celtics in 6. Yeah, I think the Sixers can win 2 games. Like Embiid is gonna do really. I think he'll do really good this series, even if Ben Simmons isn't there. I'm pretty sure the Sixers have other guards that can like pass the ball to him, and like I do think that like it's not like having no one to guard Embiid will be like the reason this like a big cost to the Celtics, but it'll still mean that Embiid is gonna do good in some games. The Sixers won most of the games, but they had Simmons during all those games. Is Simmons like injured for the entire?
Yeah, for the rest of the season.
Oh. Well, that sucks, but I don't know. Maybe then I think Celtics in 6.
I think Ben Simmons really could have like flipped the tide in this series,
Yeah.
especially if we played him a ton of minutes, because he could have like guarded Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, and I think he's one of, if not like he's like at least a top 5, top 3 defender in the league right now.
Wait,
I feel like the X factor
Yeah.
for this series is going to be Embiid.
He's definitely
but
top
the-
5.
But the X factor for the Sixers is going to be Shake Milton, because with what's his name, with Simmons out, if Shake Milton can step up, we've seen him do that a few times. He scored like
Not
20,
Shake Milton. I'd say
Like,
the
in the
like,
20s?
I understand why you think Shake Milton, but I'd say what I feel
Joshua
like
Tobias
that guy
Harris?
who makes those videos. No,
Oh,
Tobias
Matisse
Harris.
Thybulle,
Matisse
Matisse Thybulle.
Matisse
Matisse
Thybulle,
Thybulle.
exactly. The guy who makes those videos.
Matisse
Yeah.
Thybull's so good.
He's their
Ah.
X factor.
Yeah.
he's a really good defender.
Tobias Harris.
I don't know, but he's not really like that important. He's just like a good role
Yeah.
player for them.
Yeah, but those are what X factors are. X factors aren't the stars. X factors are like, he's like Robert Covington is probably the X factor for the
No,
Rockets.
it'll probably
I think.
be Eric Gordon for the Rockets.
No, it's someone who can
No.
contribute at an incredibly high level, but you can't expect them to. Which I say Robert Covington fits that mold. He's he's probably the best defender the Rockets have, and he could hit some threes and stuff. He's like Terry Rozier in 2018, if you guys remember.
I'm still thinking that Shake Milton, if he does perform, if he scores 20 plus, as we've seen him do a few times this season, I think that they have a chance to push this to 6, or maybe like even 7.
Josh Richardson's pretty good as well. He's a really good defender and he's a 3-point shooter. So
I think Tobias Harris is easily the most overpaid player in the league.
Yeah,
38,
for
40
sure.
million, whatever he
Yeah.
makes, and he's never been close to an All-Star. Forget All-NBA. He makes
Yeah.
serious All-NBA money, despite never being close to an All-Star. It wasn't like a CJ McCollum type
last
thing.
year he was.
He has been close to an
Yeah,
All-Star.
with the
La-
Clippers,
last year-
he
last
was.
year he
not
was
like-
close to an All-Star.
He
Yeah,
was
he was
never-
like
for the
he was
Clippers.
like
Yeah,
one
with
vote
the
away. He was like
Clippers.
one vote away. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
with the Clippers, he was definitely close to an
In
All-Star.
2018, he was a 40. He was a 50% shooter from field, and then 40 from three. I think those are and 20 points per game. That's All-Star stats, in my opinion.
I don't think
Chris
20
Middleton.
points
Chris
per
Middleton
game
said.
and not doing much more other than that is warrants an All-Star, especially if your team isn't doing that good.
But in
21 points per game, 50% from the field, 43% from three. That doesn't sound like All-Star to you? And 8 rebounds.
Bradley Beal didn't make the All-Star team this year.
And
He was
good
averaging
defense.
Probably
In the West-
it's probably
in the
because of
West, I
his
wouldn't
team
say.
success.
Yeah. In
He
the
was- he
West,
was
I
in
wouldn't say
playoff-
that's an All-Star.
He was in the playoffs though, and he was on the Clippers team that wasn't even that like loaded at that point because Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was still a rookie. And
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything to add to this?
wait, I
Not
have,
really.
I have one comment on the overall stuff. It seems that all of us except David think that like the higher seed is gonna win. So I don't know. It seems there's not gonna be any upsets, but we'll see. I think the most likely upset is the Thunder.
Yeah.
What do you
wait,
do? But they have the same record.
I wouldn't even say
Would it
that's
really
an
be
upset.
considered an
Yeah,
upset?
I wouldn't say that's an upset. An upset's like if the team is seriously not considered at all. But like with Westbrook injured,
Yeah,
a lot of
plus
us are
Westbrook
giving
injured.
the
No,
Thunder credit.
No, I'm still gonna.
Yeah, I'm still taking
say
the
that
Rockets, but like
Thunder
we
is an
understand
upset.
like, but like
Or a
even
potential
Rishi and I, we still think the Thunder have a chance if they don't do good. And even if they had Westbrook, I still wouldn't say it's a huge upset because it's 4 or 5 seed. If any series is gonna be an upset, it's gonna be this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If
Can I-
there's going to be an upset, it would probably be the Sixers.
wait, can we talk about
Most likely.
something else quickly?
Yeah.
Alvin Gentry and Jim Boylan both got fired from their teams.
Yeah. Good.
Yesterday.
Good job.
Alvin Gentry got
Good.
fired.
Good.
Yeah,
Why?
Wait,
So-
Alvin Gentry did?
he got fired like 30 minutes ago by the Pelicans. I think
Oh.
Probably
I
because
think-
of his bubble performance.
Yeah.
yeah. I
He's
feel
a
like
garbage player.
he's not been playing Zion enough, but I don't know if that.
No,
his
Zion's
plus
health
minus-
and all will
his
probably
plus-
There's a reason Zion wasn't getting played. Like his defense was horrendous.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we're gonna wrap it up. Or does anybody else have anything to add?
No, let's wrap
Anything?
it up.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. You can find us on YouTube at Ritz Pod, and then at the Ritz Podcast. Sorry. You can also find us on Instagram on Instagram.com/the Ritz Podcast. Sorry, Instagram.com/the Ritz Pod. Thank you for listening.